All right, welcome everyone to another episode of VCCLive. This is episode 5. I'm here today with co-host Nick Green.
Yes. Hey, everybody.
Jay DeLuco is still traveling. We're going to try to see if we can bring him in later. If he's able to get to a Wi-Fi connection. We tried the 4G connection on Skype over the phone. It just wasn't happening. So we're going with Nick and I for now, and maybe Jay later. If not, hopefully he'll be back next week with us live to add his witty opines.
Witty opines.
Witty opines. Hey, that sounds like an Irishman.
He does have witty opines.
Yeah. Witty opines. Okay, so anyone in the chat, we have MacLeod Vapes. Anyone else who has any questions or anything, follow the link that we posted up, and you can go to youtube.com/VapingCC. Check it out live, and there's also a chat box on the right. So I'll try to keep up with that as well as producing this from this site as well. So Nick, if you see anything, I don't know if you're watching it. I have mine muted. It's kind of weird seeing us on a delay, but yeah, I'll try to also keep up with if anyone has any questions about anything.
Yes, absolutely.
So today, I'm just going to go over briefly the notes that I had written down for an outline of the show. We want to, say hi and tell everyone what we've been up to real quickly, and then the Right to Be Smoke Free lawsuit, which you did a pretty in-depth interview with Azim Chowdhury from Keller and Heckman, the law firm for Right to Be Smoke Free and several other vaping industry businesses. Safata changes. I've been seeing some chatter lately. I haven't seen anything official. I asked Nick before we started. He said he hadn't either, just chatter as well, that Cynthia Cabrera had resigned from Safata. Not really sure what that's all about or what it means for the future of Safata or, what we're trying to do on the national level. But we'll discuss that to as much as we know about what's happening. I couldn't get anyone on a very short notice. I just saw this stuff, I think, yesterday, so I couldn't get anyone on a really short notice to come from Safata and try to give us an update on what's happening. So if anyone knows anything, facts, don't just put conjecture out there. But if you know any facts, put it in the chat and we'll discuss it. State updates. One of the things that was happening this week was Pennsylvania tax was, I think, being voted on yesterday. I talked to a few people, a few advocates that are working on it from different levels, and there are a range of things that the tax rate could be, and then there are a range of dates that they think it might possibly be implemented in Pennsylvania. So still uncertain about that. And again, I know Alex Clark is really on top of the ball, so maybe he'll chime in. He was one of the people I was asking what was happening in the timeline and stuff like that. Yeah. A Billion Lives, U.S. premiere. We don't have dates yet, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to do a rant, and I'm sure Nick can agree and maybe join in on the rant. Why are people giving up?
Yes. Yeah. I will join in on that rant with you, Kevin.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so first, how have things been? We skipped last week. Jay was still traveling. We didn't get an episode out last week, but that's okay. This is not something that we're going to hold our nose to the grindstone, and we're both busy and doing other things as well. So we didn't get one in last week, but you did do an interview last week with Azim Chowdhury, and of course all the normal, the vlog and everything else that you normally do during the week. So I'm sure you stayed pretty busy, but for me, I'm just getting, it's down to the wire for VCCPA and Pittsburgh, and we still have spaces available. I noticed it's not to get too much on a tangent on that, but I think companies are a little bit gun shy, and I'd like to thank the FDA for that, because they're winning without even trying. I mean, all they had to do was put out a document, and people are, and this is what goes part to the why are people giving up, but I mean, companies are just scared.
Yeah,
they're running scared, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still going to have a great event in Pittsburgh. A lot of great people coming out for it, and we're going to have some great advocacy discussions, and hopefully get some smokers off of combustible tobacco. So that's pretty much what I've been up to lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Same old for me. A lot of videos, a lot of vlogging, a lot of videos, a lot of vlogging. It was great to be able to sit and talk with Azim from Keller and Heckman about the FDA lawsuit. He's an incredibly smart guy. I mean, just incredibly smart. I knew from talking to Brandon from Vapor Shark is the one who set that up for me. And I knew that he was going to be a really smart guy just from talking to Brandon. But when you actually get on the phone with him, when you're actually talking to him, he's on it. He's got all of his facts, and here's how it's going to work, and this, and this, and here's what this means and this means. So He had a lot of really good information in that video. Certainly not trying to pimp out my own video, but if you haven't watched it, go watch that interview I did with Azim. Really smart guy, a lot of really great information. That was like the highlight of last week, and it came together so quickly. But I was so glad that it was able to happen, and that information's out there now, and easily shareable and watchable and listenable, and it was really good. Like I said, that was basically the highlight of last week, was that interview.
I listened to the whole thing, and Azim is, of course, he's a bright guy. He's an attorney for a large law firm in DC, so of course he's a bright guy. That goes without saying. But I thought the way that he explained it was very understandable, and I thought that it's just something that everyone, especially small businesses and e-liquid manufacturers, everyone needs to check that out.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, I don't know why you haven't, but if you haven't and you're in the industry and you're not supporting the R2B, the right to be smoke free, let me go over real quick to their webpage so people can see. It's R2BSmokefree.org. So R, the number 2, the letter B, smokefree.org altogether. And they are the official industry lawsuit in the United States via Keller and Heckman and Azim Chowdhury and his litigation team there. So they have information here on what they stand for, how you can contribute to become a member, which VCC has done, by the way, a couple of weeks ago. I haven't heard back from them yet. I'm not sure. I'm positive that they're very busy, but I think it was $1,000 for a membership, which goes towards the lawsuit. So VCC did that, and I encourage every business in the industry, even ancillary businesses, if you're a liquid bottle manufacturer or drip tips, or doesn't matter what you are, if you're in this industry, you need to be supporting this litigation, period. Yeah. So
I absolutely agree.
Visit r2bsmokefree.org. There's a lot of information on here, some of the companies that they have listed of people. And again, I'm not sure how to get that information on there, who updates it, but anyway, they have some legal updates on here. They're also involved in the Indiana lawsuit, and maybe we'll try to have someone on soon to discuss what's happening there. I think that was effective this week as well, or something, or coming up very soon. So yeah, that's the R2B Smoke Free Coalition webpage. Check it out. Get involved. Like we say all the time, you don't have to do everything. You do have to do something. This is one thing that you could do if you're a business. Yeah. So do that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally stole that catchphrase from you, by the way.
Oh, that's okay.
You don't have to do you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. I started putting that in every review because I like it so much.
You have to do at the end. You have to do the point. Get involved.
Yeah, the point.
So we do have some activity going on in the chat right now. Let me check and see if there's any questions. And again, I apologize. When Jay gets back, this will be a little bit easier because that's typically what he does, is check the, keep track of the chat and tell us what's happening. But if you see me looking away from the camera and you're looking at the side of my face, I apologize for that. And if you're listening to this, also too, I think the last episode didn't get to Smoke Free Radio because Jay is also the one who downloads the audio and cleans it up and changes it and gets it over to Dimitri to post. So hopefully he'll be able to get a couple of episodes when he gets back downloaded and over. So make sure you check those out on Smoke Free Radio. They have a lot of great content on that for the podcast version of this. So yeah, if you're listening on the podcast version at some point in the future, you can't see the side of my face anyway. It doesn't really matter. So
yeah, well, there you go. S. Taft Love Life said the fines and imprisonment are very real, which is why, the business owners, the shop owners could be running scared because they're scared of fines and or imprisonment for not being in compliance.
Well, yeah, we're still a ways away from that happening. So
yes, I agree,
and we'll get to that as well in the rant section. I'm just laying down lines. Yeah, there's several comments about that. So we'll try to get back to that when we get to that portion when we're doing the rant about why are people giving up. Anything else you can think of about the R2B Smoke Free? I think that it was joined with the Halo Nicopure Labs lawsuit last week by the federal courts.
Yes.
So that's a question we need to have.
Now it's one very, very large lawsuit as opposed to two large lawsuits.
Yeah, that's something I would like to follow up with Azim on and ask him, because I think that happened after your interview with him, and we'll find out what does that mean exactly for for the chances of litigation being able to change the predicate date, and or, what does it mean for the FDA deeming regulations?
Yeah.
So we'll get that information and we'll either share it on our page or we can do an update next week when we do the show. Just really quickly, I think there are a few things that we're probably going to be doing updates on every show because it's pretty important. This lawsuit is extremely important. The litigation angle, the legislation angle. Also, we mentioned HR 2058 and Cole Bishop. Usually every show. I haven't seen again any activity, so just keep supporting both of those and keep encouraging your representatives in the Congress, if they're not already co-sponsoring or supporting both HR 2058 and Cole Bishop, to make sure that they do that. I did get to speak with, I think I might have mentioned this last show, but maybe I can't remember. But I did get to speak with the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan's office, and they basically said that they're just waiting to schedule it for the floor so that the Agriculture Appropriations Bill, which has the Cole Bishop Amendment in it, could be voted on from the floor. So it's really a tough thing to determine what Congress is going to do and when they're going to do it. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. Hopefully it happens before August 8th, but that's completely up to Speaker Ryan. So he's the one that sets the schedule on what gets voted on in the House of Representatives. So
yeah, definitely. Anyway,
that's the update on that, but we'll probably update that regularly. We'll update states, what's happening in the states regularly. So Safata, let's talk about that for a minute. I saw a little bit of chatter within the last couple of days that Cynthia Cabrera had resigned, as I think her role had changed from executive director to president of Safata.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, and someone had put in the chat here that it was confirmed because she sent an email out to all the chapter presidents. So what do you make of this? I don't know of anything that was happening. I'm not too involved with Safata at all, but we basically, there's a chapter in Florida, but they've been around for a few years and haven't really done a whole lot. The FSFA, who I am affiliated with through Vista, because we do the lobbyist thing in Florida, and have done a lot of work over the last couple of years to stop bad legislation from being passed. But I haven't really seen a lot out of the Florida chapter of Safata, and I don't really know what was happening at the national level. Have you heard anything, Nick? What's your
all I've seen is people, my friends, posts on Facebook, and I don't want to name names, but there's been a lot of people posting about it in what seems to be a very mournful way. I know the California Safata chapter, the Southern California Safata chapter, has been very active as far as, activism and actually raising money and getting organized. But a lot of people that I see posting about it on Facebook, it seems to be, like I said, in a very mournful way. Like this may not be the most positive thing that has happened with Safata, which kind of bums me out. Like you, I'm not heavily involved in Safata. I don't know who, what goes on behind the scenes. I have no inside information. I know Cynthia. I've talked to her extensively. I didn't know what was happening or what was going down, but like I said, every post I've seen about it from Safata members, it seems to be not a positive thing that Cynthia is resigning.
Well, I can tell you from my experiences, and this may or may not be what has happened with Safata, but I've seen posts from them lately, recently, within the last couple of weeks, where Cynthia has done, interviews or put out information, still in her role with Safata, and to have an abrupt resignation generally means either. I mean, this happens sometimes in Parliament, for instance, in the United Kingdom. If they have a prime minister or a leader, they'll do what's called a vote of no confidence, and basically that means that the people who are there supposed to be supporting you on the board level, don't any longer. And then they're just saying, basically, we ask for your resignation. So I don't know if that's what happened with Safata, but I can't imagine any other scenario where there would be such an abrupt ending to the relationship with Cynthia and Safata. So if anyone has any more information about that, I mean, usually when a large organization that has, I don't know, what is it, 1,100 members now,
Yeah.
They would typically put out a press release immediately so that they could kind of cover their bases and let their membership know. And maybe they have done that with a membership, but I haven't seen it posted anywhere publicly. And they tout themselves, and they are the largest trade organization for the vapor industry in the United States. It would seem like there should be some sort of public information out there about that. I would think.
I absolutely agree, and it's also very, I don't know, it's just very weird timing. Like we're in the thick of it right now. I mean, we're in the weeds, and it's just this kind of came out of left field. I'm seeing these posts going, wait, what? Why? Wait, I don't know what's going on. This is all very weird. I don't know what's going on.
And when you have people saying, I don't know what's going on, that's not a good thing. You should be on top of the ball. You should be telling people what's going on. This happened. Cynthia's resigned. This is why, and this is what we're doing to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just leaving people in limbo and wondering what's going on, like you said, in the thick of it, the worst possible time. So anyway, I hope someone from Safata watches this or listens who's still involved with Safata. I think I saw another board member, and again, I'm not going to say any names, but I think I saw that that this person had quit as well as a board member. I'm not sure if that was just a post or if it actually happened. Again, you can't really rely on stuff you see on social media. So
right.
But I saw from a few
would be nice.
Yeah, something official would be nice. That's all I'm saying. If you're a professional organization, put it out a effing press release.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy. Absolutely. It takes 15 minutes to type up a paragraph.
Yeah, and there's no more confusion.
No
more speculating.
Correct. So I'd like to see something from Safata just saying, this is what's happened and this is the direction we're going, just so that their 1,100 member organizations have some peace of mind and know what is going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, if anyone has it, let me just check the chat real quick and see if anyone's saying anything.
There was a person, Woo Vapes, said, "Can I post a link here, Kevin? I just PM'd you a link to the official email sent out by Safata."
Oh, okay. So that was an email sent out to, and Dimitri is also saying there's been an official release by Safata.
Yeah.
They did a press release. It's on their site. I'm on their site right now, and I'll go over here right now, and let's see. This is the main page right here.
Yeah, I checked their site yesterday, and I didn't see anything.
I checked it before the show started today. You don't see anything here.
Yeah, I don't.
So maybe, VCC used to be a member. We're not a member anymore. Maybe it went out only to member organizations. There are 1,100 members. I don't know. But I was saying something like that should be public. I don't see anything here.
Yeah, under news and events, the last update was October 26th.
I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they're right. Maybe there is a press release. But anyway, they've got a release up. They did a press release. It's on their site. This is all the comments that I'm saying here. If anyone has a link, let me just hop onto Facebook real quick. If they sent me a link to it, I'll see if I can find it, because I certainly don't want to put out information that's not accurate. So let me just check real quick here.
Well, I was looking on their Twitter as well, and haven't seen anything. They posted on June 27th. Nothing related to that.
Okay, here we go. We do have something, and I appreciate Brad Wooten, who just sent this to me on Facebook. I close Facebook before we start the show, so I'm not interrupted by dings and distracted by stuff like that. But let me just, I'll actually go through it real quick. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Statement from the Board of Directors of the Smoke-Free Alternatives Trade Association. And I'm going to read it because, again, this is done as a podcast format as well, and people who can't see this, when it's on a podcast. So It is with much disappointment that we announce Cynthia Cabrera is stepping down as president and executive director of the Smoke-Free Alternatives Trade Association. During her tenure, Cabrera has helped grow Safata into the largest trade association representing and protecting the interest of the vapor industry, surpassing more than 1,000 business members while establishing 28 local chapters in 26 states throughout the country. While we respect Cynthia's decision to step down from her official position, we are currently in negotiations to continue our relationship with her moving forward as we transition to a new executive director. At the same time, we are proud to announce the appointments of Cap O'Rourke as president and Shell Hamill as vice president. Working with the full board, these directors will lead in this transitional period as we continue the great work accomplished by Cynthia in helping her achieve our organization's goal at the federal and state levels, advocating for sensible regulations of vapor products in Congress and in various state houses across the U.S. Safata remains committed to lobbying the passage of HR 2058 and Cole-Bishop Amendment legislation that will create less costly market pathway to vapor products. We will also continue to work with our state lobbyists to help ensure that vapor products are not equated and taxed like combustible tobacco products. Furthermore, the board is committed to improving transparency. As a result, we will be conducting a regularly scheduled meeting with agendas and will make the minutes available to members. During the next several weeks, we also will be examining our existing bylaws and make related changes to provide for better governance oversights and communication. Safata is fully dedicated to its membership during this critical time in our organization and our industry as we prepare our members to successfully navigate the new regulatory landscape and advocate for preservation of vapor products as significant alternatives to combustible tobacco, not just for the millions of adult vapors that already made the switch to vaping, but for the 40 million plus adult smokers still smoking.
Yeah.
And I don't see a date on when this was put out. Again, I did check, maybe I don't see everything and it's impossible to, but I did check last night and this morning before going on, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So anyway, apparently it's out there. Thank you again, Brad, for sending me the link. And it didn't really clarify anything for me. So
No.
it was in fact a press release, and it did in fact state some truths, but it didn't really clarify anything for me. So
yeah, that's stuff we already knew.
Stuff we already knew, yeah. I would like to find out something more in depth. So I was going to try to get Shell Hamill on here to kind of ask her what's. I like Shell. I met her in Tulsa for the first time when we did VCCMW there last November. She's a great advocate, I think, a great person. And I really like Shell, but she's on vacation. I didn't even want to ask her while she's on vacation if she would take an hour and come sit with us and talk. But maybe she'll be back next week, and I'll reach out to her and see if she can come on and kind of give us a better update of what's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
State updates, Pennsylvania tax. When I talked to, I was messaging with Greg Conley, Paul Blair, and Alex Clark yesterday, just kind of getting their ideas of what's going on, 2 days ago. And I think yesterday was when they were supposed to vote on it. I haven't seen any.
They were voting on Pennsylvania yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So let me just see if I can do a quick search real quick. And again, if anyone has a link, post it up or PM it to me on Facebook. But it was going to range anywhere, I think, from 5 cents a milliliter to 40 cents a milliliter tax.
Yeah.
And their estimates on effective date ranged from anywhere from July 1st, which we're at,
to today,
to January 1st, 2017. So, I'm trying to see if I can find anything in the past 24 hours, and there's nothing that I see. So I'm not sure if they voted on it or what happened with it. But this is the kind of stuff that is why I say we need to remain vigilant in the states.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Even though the FDA, what they're doing will decimate the industry, no doubt about it. But this goes kind of to the rant that we're going to talk about here at the end about why people are giving up. I think some people are just getting hit from every angle, and you really have to do an analysis to determine whether or not the amount of shit you're taking is worth the amount of effort you're putting in. And we're getting constant stuff from states where we got this now FDA deeming regulations. California is screwing businesses and vapors left and right. I think that there are going to be an exodus of companies from California leaving to head to other states who aren't quite as regulatory. What is your thoughts on that there, Nick? Do you think, why do you think people are, this isn't the rant portion yet, but I think it kind of ties in though to the state updates.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you said, people are getting it from the states, and the representatives are against it, and some people are against it, and it gets overwhelming. When it's at the bottom line it gets overwhelming when you think about the states and the FDA, not to mention even still trying to run a successful business. You're all over the place, and it just it just absolutely gets overwhelming. And you said it has to be worth it. Is all the shit you're taking worth it? And I would say yes. I think it's always worth it. I think it's always worth it because it's not just, like the Safata statement said, it's not just for the vapors, the millions of vapors that we have now. It's for the 40 million plus smokers that aren't vapors yet. And to me, that's worth it. It's worth it to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. It's worth it to change history.
I agree, and I'm glad that we're on the front end of this.
Yeah.
Does it get frustrating a lot of the time? Hell yes, it does.
Yeah.
Is it discouraging to always? Not always, but it is. Because in some of the states where, at least I can speak from Vista's behalf, in the states that we're in, we've done a good job of defeating legislation over the last 4 years. But when you look around at some of the other states and you see, it's like, I almost said GD again, but wouldn't it be nice to have a win, for Christ's sake, once in a while?
Yeah, it would.
I mean, we're doing something that is going to change the biggest impact on public health in human history. And if it's like you just can't get the people who are in the decision making places to understand that, and it's frustrating as hell. And I can kind of understand from their perspective, especially like, okay, this comes out, the FDA deeming regulations. Basically, the federal government is saying that vaping is just as bad as smoking. Of course, most businesses have their base consumers, their customers that they have, but what we really need to do is get to that 40 million market of smokers, and we need to bring them over to vaping. If you're not bringing in new consumers to your market, that's going to slow your growth, or and there's more competition, so then your existing customer base isn't going to be as strong as it once was. From a business standpoint, I can kind of understand. I mean, if you're not growing and if you're in fact losing ground from a business standpoint, you don't keep going forward. I mean, maybe you can advocate from a personal perspective. And someone just said in the chat, Sean Taft again, Vapapalooza canceled. So I guess there was an event, Vapapalooza, that was going to be going on in Atlanta. I saw an email actually, or a release from them as well, that said that there were not enough of the committed companies that paid or actually signed up for them to continue with the event, so they had to cancel Vapapalooza. And he says, does this have you carefully being thorough to continue VCC? And that's a great question from a vaping convention standpoint. I've looked at a couple other ones that are coming up soon, and Pittsburgh is definitely smaller than anything we've done in the last year. So far, we usually get a lot of companies that sign up in the last 30 days. So, the final exhibitor roster is yet to be determined. But yeah, I've noticed a difference for sure, a huge difference. And we're going to continue VCC events. I don't know what other convention companies are doing or what their plans are, but we're going to continue them because our goal has always been from the beginning to educate and expose people to vapor products, to normalize them, and to get smokers off of combustible tobacco, period. That's our goal. Yeah. If we have an event and we have to scale down in size to a 10,000 square foot building with 30 vendors, we're doing it. So I will find a way to continue doing it, because the more smokers that we can convert over to vaping, the better it is for us and the stronger our cause will be.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I've talked to a multitude of, vape event people that are making this year's events their last events. They're going to have this year's, and then they're not moving forward with them. And so I think in the future and moving forward, we're going to see a lot less conventions because of this. I mean, even with no hard rules enforced, like we were talking about before, people just get scared and intimidated, and they won without even winning. They're cutting down our vaping conventions. They're cutting out our brick and mortar stores.
I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. I think that there were getting to be too many events. Just my personal opinion, not from a business perspective, but even from a vapor's perspective or a company, there were getting to be 1, 2, 3 events a weekend, and I'm talking about more from the brick and mortar standpoint when we have companies. I mean, I understand it's going to affect getting the word out about vaping, but brick and mortar companies are doing what you just said. They are giving up prematurely, in my opinion. Things are not going to change this year. There are going to be a few things that are going to be required by December 31st, but we still have a couple of years to get this grandfather date changed. And it's being worked on from every angle by some of the best minds in advocacy. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, if you can hold on, hold on. If you have to make cutbacks or whatever to money saving measures. But again, in my opinion, if I were an e-liquid manufacturer, I would be, or anyone else in manufacturing anything in the vaping industry, I would be putting my pedal to the metal, dude. I'm telling you, as big as I could grow in the next 2 years, that would be my goal. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be shying down on marketing. Of course, support the advocacy organizations and do your part. But I think that there's plenty to go around to continue expanding. Because the fact is, the bigger we get, the harder it is for them to control us and shut us down. And the more smokers we convert, the harder it is for them to control us and shut us down. Yeah. So I think it's counterintuitive for the industry to slam on the brakes because, exactly like you said, and I've said this before as well, the FDA is winning just by putting out a document, just by putting out regulations. Yeah. Their psychological impact on the industry is huge over the last 2 months, and I've noticed it for sure.
Yeah, it's huge. And, this is within the vaping industry. This is the first, slump, I guess, because up until now, we've just been growing, like crazy, just growing and growing and growing, and new shops and new companies and new this and new that and new products and just growing exponentially constantly. And this is the first time since I've been in the vaping industry since 2009 that we've seen like a slump, like stores are ordering less wholesale or closing completely or less attendance at meets, or this is the first dip, but it's not going to be the only dip and it's not going to be the last dip. We're going to grow again, and then there might be a dip later on too, and then we're going to grow again. That's how business works. That's why the stock market goes up and down. Industries go up and down, and I think we're in a down right now, and we need to get up out of it and grow some more.
Yeah, well, I absolutely agree. And if you, I don't know. I can't. I mean, I did used to own a vape shop in Tampa, and I can understand from the brick and mortar perspective how difficult it is to do everything that you need to do to stay afloat or expand. It's very difficult. Mm-hmm. Couple that in with the fear of unknowing, which, again, I think that's probably the biggest detriment right now to our industry is ignorance. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the truest sense of the word ignorance. People just simply do not understand what's going to happen to them. And I think part of the strategy from the FDA in putting out a 499-page legalese, confusing document was to do exactly what they're doing. And I say to every vapor business out there right now, if you are a brick and mortar store, if you are an e-liquid manufacturer, screw that. Keep doing what you've been doing, at least for the next couple of years. Grow, expand, renew leases, keep your employees paid, grow your business, grow the vaping consumer base. Do not fall into the trap of saying, I just don't understand what's going to happen to me. And don't let fear control your decisions. That would be my advice to anyone out there who's considering, I've got a store now. I'm considering opening a second store. I was going to do it before the FDA deeming regulations hit, but I'm thinking I'm probably not going to now. But bullshit. Do it. Expand.
Yeah. Do it.
We need to reach more smokers. We need to get more of them vaping, and we need to become so large. They have to notice. Yeah. They have to.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Please don't quit. The fight is just starting. I mean, we've been doing a lot of the advocacy. People in advocacy have been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 years. That's just basically that's pregame warm up. Now we're in the first inning or the first quarter or however, whatever sports analogy you want to make about it. Now and we're behind. We're behind. You know, if you're looking, I'm a Florida Gators fan. If you can't tell, we're in the first period and we just got scored on 3 times.
Right.
It's 21-0. But we have some pretty awesome quarterbacks on the roster here and some running backs, and we're not going anywhere. Vaping. I don't know if any of you guys realize this by now, but vaping is not going anywhere.
Yeah. We're strong, and I'm not a sports guy, but I got all those sports references.
There you go.
You just made.
So there's a long way to go. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
No. Yes.
Keep your head up. Keep yourself focused. Keep doing what you're doing, but most of all, don't quit. Don't give up, because you're doing exactly what the FDA wants you to do. And if they can eliminate half the industry before the 2-year deadline's even up, they're probably sitting back having cocktails right now saying, score, good for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely don't do that. Okay, so we kind of got to the rant a little bit in advance.
Yeah, that's okay.
But that's okay.
That's okay. It's clearly something we were both thinking about. And
I think a lot of
so,
people are thinking about it. I mean, just to give us a little update, I mean, you're in California. Since California passed its legislation out there, what's happening with businesses? What are you seeing there? I think California is probably the largest market in the country, I would say.
Yeah, there's been a lot of the brick and mortar locations are staying open and are confident to continue staying open. There's some hoops they have to jump through as far as tobacco licensing and charging for samples and stuff like this. But a lot of the brick and mortar stores are staying open and busy constantly. A lot of the distribution and manufacturing people are either already moving out of state or are discussing moving out of state. I mean, huge distribution houses are leaving California. Simply because they can't afford to jump through these loopholes to get into, to stay in the market. And, Dwayne brought up a great point. Dwayne Omboy OC, my BFF, he brought up a great point that we may have already talked about in the past, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it, is it's not that they don't want to get these tobacco licenses, which are expensive but not unreasonable. It's that the taxes that they're paying to the state of California are being used against them to hurt vaping. And they don't want their tax dollars to hurt vaping. That's essentially what would be happening, is the government's turning around and using these vaping tax dollars to further harm vaping. And so that's why
they
a lot of them
commingle
are
all
leaving.
the funds. I mean, I don't think that they're specifically earmarking the taxes they're getting from vape shops to screw vapors and vaping. But I mean, I understand that point, but I don't know. It's a political climate right now across the country. And actually, if you look at the quote that we changed it to like 3 minutes before I was scrambling to find, look at the quote. When government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny.
Yeah.
And that was said by a man who I think knows a thing or two about fighting for what he believes in, and that's Thomas Jefferson. So they did something, of course, on a grander scale than what we're trying to accomplish here. But I think that sums it up perfectly. When people fear the government, there is tyranny. So you can't be in this industry right now at this time and at this place in history and be scared. There can be no room for doubt. You have to know exactly what your purpose is and what your plan is. And actually, I want to say, and this might not be very popular, but if your purpose and your plan was to only get in this industry to make money and you couldn't give a shit less about public health or saving smokers, maybe you should go. If you got into this industry with clear intentions of getting people off of combustible tobacco, I hope that you can somehow find it in your heart and in your pocketbook to keep your businesses alive and expand. So, I mean, I realize there are companies, like you said, there are huge distribution houses leaving California and stuff. Maybe it's a good business move for them because, it would be nice to see some states, if there were just a state that would come out and say, you know what, we're pro-vaping. We want your business here. it would be very, very smart for a state right now, any state out there who is hurting financially and doesn't have a good industry, to say, vaping businesses, we welcome you with open. In fact, we're going to give you tax credits. We're going to give you tax breaks, like do to some of the other manufacturers in other industries. Do you know how successful that would make their state and improve their local economy and their job and their job market and stuff like that? It would be fantastic if we could get some state out there to do that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I just think it makes good sense. I do have there's one question in the chat, going back to the convention thing, from Tracy Larson. It says, question, what do you charge for sampling at events? And I do want to mention this really quickly here because, so at the first VCC event ever in Tampa in 2014, we charged a door fee. And my thought behind charging the door fee was, if people commit a little bit of money, even if it's just $10 or $5 or whatever, they're more likely to attend the event than, when the event gets here, just say, meh, it's free. I'd rather go fishing this weekend or something, whatever. So that was my thought process. It was $5 online in advance and $10 at the door. After the event, and I've told the story a couple times, but after the event, I actually ran into a few people in Tampa here that saw me vaping. They're asking what I have and stuff like that. This was after the Tampa event, and I told them it was vaping. Just did an event in Tampa. Did you guys come? They're like, oh, no, we heard about it, but there was a door fee to get in, so we weren't going to pay like $5 or $10 to go see something we're not even sure if we're going to like. So I thought, you know what? If we're turning away smokers, I'm never charging a door fee again at a VCC event, and I haven't since then. I think most other events charge $10, $15, $20, $30, $40 or whatever for vapors or smokers to get in the door. And again, my goal of VCC is to get smokers in the door, and get them off of combustible tobacco. So I made the decision not to charge door fees anymore. And I think we've had some success with getting smokers off combustible tobacco over the past 2 years. Now we have the FDA deeming regulations that say no free sampling. With Pittsburgh, we're okay because obviously that's the end of July 23rd and 24th. It's I sometimes keep saying for 24th and 25th, but anyway, it's the 23rd and 24th of July in Pittsburgh. That's before the August 8th date. So we're going to keep it free to the public. Everyone over 18, free. Chattanooga, we already have booked, and we're going to be there at the end of October, the third week of October. We probably are going to charge a minimal fee, and the best I can come up with is $5 per person. We can't turn around and donate it to advocacy. We have to take it as income, because if we don't, then it doesn't become a payment for sampling, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So has to be something that's reasonable. It can't be something that you're going to then, we could turn around and donate some of the funds thereafter, maybe, not directly coming from that $5 admission fee, but we do it. We do a lot for advocacy at VCC. We're a member of a lot of organizations, and we do definitely spend and spread around the money, some of it anyway. And I think we would try to work something out where we could do that as well. But probably starting with VCC TN 16 in Chattanooga, we will charge $5 to get in, and there will be a sign up at the entrance that says your $5 entry fee covers sampling of all products at the event. That way, if the local health department or anyone that the FDA sends out comes out and says, oh, you're doing free sampling, we're shutting you down or whatever. No, we're not. Everyone that comes in is paying their $5 fee, and it includes sampling of all products at the event. So therefore, it is not free. So to answer your question, Tracy, that's kind of the history. I don't know what other companies do with their events, but that's what we've done over the past couple of years, and probably the direction we're going to take going forward. Because we want to make sure that we can keep the VCC events. We want to make sure that we can keep them around, and hopefully we'll start working on VCC T17 very soon here in Tampa for next February, March. Yeah. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Tracy also said she owns 3 stores, and she's trying to figure out what to charge for samples. She heard that a penny is not enough. I've also heard that too. Yeah,
I think $1 is a reasonable, like maybe $1 per visit or whatever. I think that would be a reasonable time frame, or $1 every 30 minutes or whatever. If you can come in and you can sample the products in our store, and when we bring you out, we're going to add to your bill a sampling fee. and it is not, therefore, no, it is not free sampling. A penny to try to get around the regulations is not reasonable.
Yeah.
$1 every 15 or 30 minutes, that's more reasonable, I would think, in my opinion. Again, if you have any specific questions, you can maybe consult with every business probably has an attorney that they ask questions of, so check with them, but that would be my opinion.
Yeah.
And the reason I say $5 for VCC events starting with Tennessee is because there's so many vendors there that I don't think it would be reasonable to say we're going to charge you $1 to try 40 or 50 companies e-liquids. I think $5 may be more reasonable. But if our attorney comes back and says $5 is not reasonable, it needs to be 10 or 20, well, we're going to do that. And hopefully people understand it. It's not something I want to do. And if it was of my own volition, every VCC event would be free from here on out to everyone over 18. So, we want to make sure that we can keep doing that. So let's see if there's any other discussion over here. You seeing anything else there?
No. The sampling thing. Yeah. No. Dimitri said they're trying to get a state standard for all the shops in Tennessee as far as pricing for sampling. That makes
I think that's a great idea.
I think every state should do that.
Yeah, I think if you already have an SFA in your state or some state organization, their board probably should meet and discuss what standard they're going to set for their members, so that it's consistent. And if you have a whole industry in a state doing it, it's a lot more. It gives it a lot more validity than just every shop's randomly saying, "Okay, we're going to charge $1. We're going to charge $5. We're going to charge $2." You know, I think a little bit of uniformity will go a long way. So that's probably a good idea if you're in a state that you can do that and get state standard. Definitely consider doing that. I've seen some questions about whether or not you're required to collect sales tax on the sampling fee. Sales tax generally applies to products. I would say that this would be a service. I'm not sure that you're selling them anything. Actually, I'll have to do some more research on that, and we'll update people. I would say at this point it's a service and probably not. I would say that would be my initial thought on it.
Yeah.
But I'll do some more research and ask some people that specialize in income tax what they think about it. I mean, typically it would be like if you're going in and you're buying a coil and it costs you $3 and you're going to, like Florida, I think in Florida we have a 7% sales tax, so you'd be paying $3.21, for instance. So I don't think though that a sampling fee, it's more of a service in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you would think that, but if you build a coil for someone, which I think would be a service fee as well, since you're servicing their device, I don't think that's the case. I think you're considered a tobacco manufacturer.
Yeah, but you are. But you're manufacturing a part.
Build a coil.
You're manufacturing a part of an electronic cigarette. So what they're paying for in that is the wire that it took to make the coil. Most likely, it's an actual physical, tangible thing.
Right. Does that include? Because from what I was reading, it's even if you are fixing something.
That is correct.
Like if you're re-wicking an atomizer and you have to dry burn the coils, then that's still manufacturing.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Cool.
But walking in and saying, I want to try this peachy liquid. You're trying their device, you're trying their liquid. All they're doing is charging you to sample that to see if you like the flavor of it.
Right.
So I don't think that would be taxable as a product. But if anyone has any comments on that, I'm happy to see it. DJ's B vapes. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be lab or not. Here in the EU, the shops who do that tax as a service and not a product. Okay, so apparently some other legal minds over there have the same idea. Yeah, and then Nick from Daily Vape TV saying the same thing. Technically, if you build a coil, which we already we covered that, you become.
Yeah. Yeah, he says if you replace a coil in a tank, it's still considered manufacturing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then Dimitri said it sounds good on paper, but it's hard to implement. Yeah.
Well, I think he's talking about, trying to read what he was referencing there. It says you can submit a SKU as coil building, but you have to adhere to the submission every time, for example, some wire resistance wicking. Exactly, yeah. Again, tangible products.
Right. Right.
So tangible products are something obviously that's going to be taxed and would consider, would make you be considered a tobacco manufacturer. The whole thing is just so asinine. It makes me giggle every time I say it. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Tobacco manufacturer.
This is a tobacco product. This has never seen tobacco in its life.
Yeah.
This grew up in a plastic field somewhere. I mean, it's crazy. These people are so retarded.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ridiculous.
So 1 billion lives. I'm trying to see if we can get, and I think I'm 95% there. Aaron Bieber, the director of 1 billion lives, he's been to our last few events at VCC. I'm trying to see if I can get him to the Pittsburgh event in about 3 weeks. I think it might happen. And he should have some news out today. So make sure you check 1billionlives.com. I think he said Friday there would be some big news announcements for the North America premieres. Make sure you check 1billionlives.com. In fact, I'll check it real quick and throw it up on the screen just to see if they have anything posted, or check their social media outlets. But there should be some information out soon about when the North America premiere is going to take place.
Yeah, I'm dying to see this.
I am as well.
We were in America to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for this to be screened for state legislative officials, Congress people, senators all over the country. If there's any multi-billionaires or millionaires out there who have a ton of money, send me a message. See, I would like to rent out the state capitol in Tallahassee and have them all, promise them all some campaign contribution or something if they turn out to watch this. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, if you're purple, red, orange, pink. I don't care. I think you need to see this, and I think you need to understand the impact, because I know some people who have seen it, and they've said it's just incredible. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I've only seen positive, people saying positive things about it. I know people flew to Australia to see it there. People flew to Poland to see it there.
Right.
And everything I've seen about this movie, everyone says it's just great. It's just great.
Yeah, I wish they could have had the well, of course, Aaron and them weren't doing this to coincide with FDA deeming regulations coming out, but I wish it would have come out about the same time in North America, or maybe even slightly before the FDA deeming regulations, because I think it would have had an impact, and maybe even can still have an impact. Again, we have a couple of years to work on this, but we need to get this information out there that they've spent so much time assembling. We need to get it out there now.
Yeah,
there's no time to waste. So the sooner we can the sooner we can mainstream this film and have it available for people in decision-making roles to watch, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm seeing some discussion about synthetic nicotine and stuff in the chat as well. Anyway.
Yeah. Maybe that's a topic for another show.
Yeah, I think it is as well. All right. Well, we're at 53 minutes. We've kind of covered things out of order, but I think it ended up flowing pretty well. Do you have anything that you'd like to end up with, or what are your thoughts just in general as we leave for the July 4th weekend? By the way, happy July 4th to all of you.
Yeah.
Independence Day. I think maybe there was some subconscious influence on me picking the Thomas Jefferson quote at the very last minute. Yeah. So any plans for the weekend? What are you doing for July 4th?
You know what? I honestly have no idea what I'm doing for July 4th. I live in San Diego, so down by the waterfront, they do the big fireworks and beer and stuff like that. So I'll probably do that, stay close to home. Yeah. I don't get too crazy anymore because I'm an old guy, but it should still be fun. It should still be fun. It should still be a good weekend.
Well, very cool. Next week we'll be back with hopefully Jay will be joining us next week, and maybe he can get these past couple of episodes downloaded and sent over to Smoke Free Radio, to Dimitri, so they can get those on the podcast version. If anyone has any ideas for anything that they would like to hear us talk about, I mean, if you're watching this after the live event, you can still post comments. We'll review those comments, and maybe if we think anything's worth discussing, we'll put it on for the next week's show. So make sure you check it out. Please share the video. Please get the information out to people. All your social media contacts, you might share it and think, oh, well, maybe don't want to watch it, but maybe something we've said will impact a company and keep them motivated to stay in business. So please subscribe to the channel, share the video. Let's get involved and get people reinvigorated about vaping again, and not so negative. I've had this problem myself over the last couple of months. I've been a little bit negative. I'm a perpetual optimist, but it does get to you sometimes. But
yeah.
I mean, ultimately, you have to sit back, take a step back, take a breath, and realize why we're doing what we're doing. And we're doing this to save lives, period.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to. Your vlogs, my events, Jay-Z Liquid, anyone who's watching this, why they're watching this, why they're commenting. Why? Because they're passionate and they care. And that's the bottom line.
Absolutely. And I said this to Brian from Vapor Shark just the other day. You get repetitive because you're saying the same thing over and over and over again, as far as advocacy and Cole Bishop and lawsuit and right to be smoke free and the College of Physicians. And you keep saying it over and over and over again. But you have to remember that the person that you're saying it to, it might be the first time that they're ever hearing this. So you kind of have to remember that. Like, keep that in mind. Yes, it's easy to preach to the choir, but you might be talking to someone who's never heard of this before, who has no idea what Cole Bishop is, who doesn't know what, HR 2058 is. So stay patient, stay positive, because you're educating people.
Maybe they see it for the first time and they're like, HR 2058, and they Google it and they find out some information. And they're like, you know what? I think my representative would support this.
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We'll see you next week for another great show. Remember, you don't have to do everything. You do have to do something. Get involved.
Yeah.